Baz Luhrmann, the genius
Go
behind...
on.
No, you are. The Red Carpet trilogy, of course, brilliant. Australia, epic. And now The Great Gatsby. I have to say, the movie is so breathtaking. Because it's in 3D, do you have to approach that differently as a director?
Well, shockingly, other than the fact that I was inspired to do it, one by Fitzgerald and two I saw Dial M for Murder in 3D by Hitchcock. Yeah. But shockingly, I found it kind of easy. Like, I had a young guy. You have this thing in 3D. You have this guy called the stereographer.
Yeah.
And he's the guy that makes it 3D.
Okay.
But mine was really young, so he's only ever done it all his life. And I just said, look, all I want to do is make it draw people in. I don't want it to be tricks. So he was just so good to work with that I really... There's a few things you had to keep an eye on, but not really. It wasn't that complicated.
Everything about this movie is brilliant and magical. Even the fact when you decided to pursue The Great Gatsby. You tell me about the train ride.
Oh, yeah?
That just sounds amazing to me.
It's real. And in fact, my journal is now online, and it's www.gatsbyjournal.com. And in that, if you go there, it's an electronic version, and you'll see me on the train.
Yeah.
And the whole thing. But what happens is, after Moulin Rouge, I'm going to get on the Trans-Siberian and go meet my wife in Paris with my little newborn Lily, my Lily. And so I thought it'd be kind of a romantic experience, but actually it was kind of like, I must have been thinking the Orient Express. It was a little bit, shall we say, rubber hose, you go wash yourself down there. So I had a bottle of red wine and a recorded version of two books. One I can't remember, the other one was Gatsby. And I put it on, and honestly... I listened to it for 5 hours straight, and I just realised I don't know this book at all. It is us. It's who we are. It's a reflection of where we are. And I thought, I've got to solve... If I could solve the Nick Carraway issue, his inner voice, I could make a movie.
By introducing Jack Thompson.
Yeah. That idea, by the way, was Fitzgerald's idea in another book that he never completed.
Okay, because a lot of kids, you've done something great for students. A lot of them won't read the book. Yeah. And now you've made the movie so they can go and see it without reading the book. How far does it stray away from the book so they can get their essays right, because we don't want them to fail?
Only that bit, because Nick is writing a book in The Great Gatsby. Okay. He says Gatsby, who was the subject of this book, he's writing a book. We don't know who for and why. We know he's trying to work out his relationship with Gatsby. So in another book called The Last Tycoon, Fitzgerald had an idea of putting in the narrator in an asylum. Yeah. So we used that idea. And all that thing about auto writing, that's very real. We work with a doctor whose family, Menninger, who invented auto writing in the 20s. And all that's real, but it's not in the novel.
I just spoke to Catherine, your lovely wife.
She's cool.
She is, and I was telling her how most people wouldn't want to work with their partner. And I asked her if you guys have many arguments. She said you had an argument last night in the bathroom.
All the time. No, we had an argument at dinner. Oh, we always usually argue in the bathroom, but this time our team is so used to us arguing. We go into the most horrifying arguments, and they all just sit there going la da da. They don't notice at all. They're like, rah, 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 rah,
you see, when you guys have an argument, I think we should put it to music, and there should be people dancing.
Yeah, I know. And then right at the end of the argument, I'll go, like, at the end of the argument last night, we were at a Chinese restaurant going, blah, 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 blah. I said, okay, darling, I'll see you, bye, bye, bye. It's like, because it's kind of argument, debate, sometimes it's pressure release. I mean, it's just how we are. And if we waited until there was no one around, we'd never get to argue.
How did you get your style from your movies? Because it seems surreal. I love sci-fi. Yeah. But yet I love your movies because it's got that element to it that's
slightly heightened, yeah.
Yeah. Where does that come from?
Well, I always set out to reveal whatever it is I'm doing. Yeah. But, it's usually comes from sort of a series of decisions. But also, I have a great love of those classic older movies that are by their very nature heightened. I mean, you do a musical, top hat, it's a gloss floor, and that's supposed to be Venice, So I do love those. I mean, I was brought up in our little cinema and on TV, and those very heightened, Citizen Kane. It's very heightened. Yeah. So it comes a little bit from the love of older movies.
You cast this movie perfectly. I'm so glad you put Joel Edgerton.
He stole that role.
He was amazing. I never knew he could look that sinister.
The thing about Joel is, everyone in Hollywood wanted that role. If I told you who wanted that role, you wouldn't believe it. And
give me one name.
Well, everybody knows that Ben was going to do it for a while.
Then he had to go to Argo.
Yeah, well, I talked to him and I said, I don't think you can do both. And he said, I don't think I can do both. And I said, well, he's a flourishing, brilliant director. And he said, you go and do Argo. But then Joel came in, and I knew Joel as this young Aussie guy, and he just walked in and he was that character, and he never changed it. The other day I met him in the elevator, and he was back to being Joel.
Wow. Now, if you were to look at me and
Yeah.
place me in one of your movies, which movie would you place me in?
Half a Sixpence. Oh, one of my movies.
One of your
my
movies?
Oh, you'd be. Oh well, you'd definitely be in Gatsby. You got the flat cap going on.
Yeah.
You got the You could be at the Speakeasy.
Thank you.
Definitely, you could be one of the dudes at the Speakeasy. By the way, that's a great sweater you got. What's that?
Dangerfield, $10 on the scab wrap.
Very cool.
Thank you.
Very cool sweater.
Yeah. Your kids are they gonna be geniuses? Are they gonna go in the future?
I don't know. You know what? The thing with kids is they're just our children, and we love them, and they're so.
No, you're doing it wrong. You've got to pressure them into something that's awesome. Come on. How do you think kids started playing golf?
I hope my daughter opens a restaurant and my son goes into, being a doctor, but they'll probably be in the family biz. I don't really know, They are our greatest work.
Yeah.
And we saw them, they're in camp with us, they've gone back to school and we miss them, and we're just like ordinary parents, we just miss them.
I can't believe this was filmed in Sydney. You would never even imagine it.
Well, I think that's a great achievement. I mean, I had to convince the studio to let us do it here.
Yeah.
It was a really big deal. People said you can't do it. I said, look, it never rains. It's a perfect place to do it,
Did you want to sort of leave the monorail in the background somewhere?
Yeah, I mean, the Gatsby monorail, but you know what? Sydney, New South Wales, Australia, the crews, the cast, they should be proud because the Americans have been saying, War and Peace, no worry, we'll do it in California.
Yeah.
Why can't we do that?
Yeah.
Why can't we decide to make a story anywhere, anyhow, any kind, and just do it?
It's amazing. Have you got a target next for your
I'm
next
doing
project?
the musical live stage version of Strictly Ballroom here in Sydney.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's awesome.
I hope so.
No, it'll be awesome. Everything you do is great.
I got to get to work on it.
The difference is, whatever critics say, the audience love your stuff.
Right.
They just love it. So you can't go wrong.
Well, the good, you know what? I know who I'd rather be with.
Us.
Yes. I
Thanks,
would rather
Baz.
have dinner with the audience than a bunch of critics.
All right, you'd have to come to Macca's with me. I'm
I'm
cheap.
available.
All right, McChicken burgers. Nice one, mate.
See you,
Thank
mate.
you.
All right, buddy.
Thanks, mate.
Nova.